Hi everyone, welcome back to Keshi's Corner. A long time no see, or long time no hear, I guess, on the podcast here. But hopefully, now that I'm in the new place, everything's kind of pretty much settled. Not really, but also a little bit more than before. Hopefully, every week you will hear a podcast from me, but I've also been saying that in every podcast episode that was like 6 months apart. So I apologize. I am, however, recording 2 episodes today. So you will at least get 2 podcasts or 2 weeks from me. The first one, it's actually going to be a series. So the first one, you probably read today's title, but it's going to be 26 non controversial lessons that I learned in 26 years. And then next episode in the series next week, it's going to be 26, yeah, you guessed it, controversial lessons or habits I learned in 26 years. And why 26, not 25 or anything like that? It's because I just had my 26th birthday. And yeah, I thought it would be a good birthday episode. And I actually had the controversial ones all planned out. And then I thought, should I really be starting with like a controversial episode or controversial lesson? Controversial lesson? Am I saying that right? I don't know. So I thought I would just do 26 out of this one that you would probably hear it and be like, yeah, that makes sense. And not think too much about it. Whereas the other one is more of a not everybody will agree, but that's kind of my experience so far. So let's get started. Actually, before we get started, I just want to say I don't know if this mic is working. I think it is, but I guess we'll know when we're editing the video. So it's still here, just in case. It might just fall on me at one point or another. We'll figure it out as we go. Lesson number 1, like a river, everything starts small. That is actually the first one and the last lesson are both lessons from my dad, and he loves this quote. I don't know where it's from because he doesn't know where it's from. He has seen this quote once when he was younger on a painting or like a photo or something in a frame, and he doesn't actually know exactly where it originated from or who said it. And I tried to Google it and I didn't get an answer. So we're gonna say it's my dad's quote. But like a river, everything starts small. I love this, and I have seen this in everyday things. As I get older, I realize more and more how much this quote is true. You don't feel like you need to start anything an expert. Basically, everything you start, you're gonna start small. Just like a flower or vegetable or fruit, they all start from seed. Everything you do, every skill you learn, is gonna start small. So, like a river, everything starts small. The second one, time really does move faster as you get older. When you're 5 years old, a year is a big chunk of your life, and it kind of feels like it. Whereas right now, well, I'm 26 and I'm still pretty young, but still a year seems to be going quickly. And as you get older, you get busier. More of your life is already scheduled for things. So right now, obviously, work, 9 hours of work, and then outside of that, you might have some activities. If you have kids, they already have their activities. So a lot more of your life is already scheduled. So time really does move faster when you get older. So just enjoy the moment, is, I guess, the lesson out of this one. The third one is that saying no is a full sentence. And I very rarely just hear somebody just say no. And it can be in a few different ways. It could just be an answer to a question. Somebody asks you just a random question about if you know somebody, or if the electrician said, I don't know, just a random question. And you can just say no and not elaborate on that. But also, what I actually mean mostly here is if somebody asks you to hang out, or somebody ask a favor out of you or something and you can't, you can just saying no should be enough. You don't have to, I guess, find an excuse. Now, I say that, and then most of the time I'm not just gonna say no because I feel like it's rude. It's mostly just the sentiment behind it. But it could just be no, I don't really feel like it, instead of no, I actually had that thing that came up. Instead of trying to find a lie or an excuse for something, it could just be no, I don't really want to drink. Or no, I don't feel like having a cigarette. Number 4 is you'll never regret being polite even if others aren't. I don't have too much to say on that one. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's not always easy. Sometimes you might be in a bad mood even if the person is polite. You might just be in a bad mood. Or a bunch of times you might find that the person is aggressive, the person is rude. You might regret saying something harsh that you shouldn't have, but I've never regretted being polite to anybody, especially in a situation that basically I probably de-escalated by being polite instead of making it worse. Number 5, everything feels worse when you're hungry or tired. Whether that's in any relationship with your friends, with your partner, with your parents, you probably don't have as much patience when you're hungry or when you're tired. The term hangry is very popular, and you might make worse choices, whether that's at a restaurant when you're hungry or at a grocery store when you're hungry. That's very popular. You go to a grocery store hungry and then you just eat or grab all the junk food. But just even how you interact with people, life is not as pleasant when you're always hungry, when you're always tired. So try to eat, not overeat, but try to eat, and also try to get enough sleep, which is very important. Number 6, you can do everything right and still not get the results that you want. That's not failure, that's just life. And life is not always fair, but you can study really hard and get really good grades and pray a lot. And for example, I didn't get everything all accepted to all the universities I want. I had really good grades, but in one university I got offered math instead of the computing science that I was applying for at the time. And I was really disheartened and heartbroken, I would say. And at that moment it was really hard to see it as maybe that's for the better, or maybe that's a blessing in disguise. In that moment, I felt like failure, or like a failure, I would say, that I was. But no, that's just life, that happens, and it all turned out for the best. So, you can do everything right. Sometimes things will still not, the pieces of the puzzles will not fit together. And that's okay. The next one, a little bit more lighthearted, I guess, but try something more than once before you say you don't like it. That could be an activity, a hobby, but for me personally, I have started a new rule of I will try something at least twice when it comes to food before saying I don't like it. That's because the first time you try it, you might already have oh, I don't like it, I don't know, it's gooey or whatever, and not pay attention to the actual flavor or taste. And second, it might just be not cooked properly. So try something more than once. And I don't mean just in the same moment. Just forget it. The next time you're presented with that opportunity again, you can try it again. And then if you don't like it, then you can say, I don't like that thing. But a lot of people tend to say, I don't like something before even trying it. Now, I will say that this should not really apply to things that are dangerous or scare you, because I've been hearing of so many stories of things going wrong in different rides at parks or things like that. Like, if you don't like those, I wouldn't say go for it just to try. Like, if you want to try, sure, but if somebody is really, really scared of I will never go on the one that you just go up and drops you And it's basically just gravity until the machine stops. You know, the one that like is just that's you like sit down there and it just go up and then drops you and it's just like vertical. Whatever that's called. No, no, thank you. I will go on roller coasters. I like that, but not whatever that is. So in that case, no. But I'm just talking about knitting. I tried knitting. It was a little bit difficult and I was a little bit impatient with it. I will try it again. Not maybe not now, not immediately, but I'm not saying a complete no to it just yet. I have tried for food. One thing that I tried, I really didn't like it, but I've only tried it once so far is what is it called? Oh, sea urchin. That's what it is. Sea urchin. I've tried that once. It just basically just tasted like the sea. Like plain, no taste, but just like salty. I did not like it. But if I was presented with it again, I'd try it again because that's just my rule of trying something twice before I say I really don't like it. Number 8. Laughter is really, it is a medicine. Like, it changes things. Sometimes I feel weird about forcing a laugh, so I wouldn't really do that, but just put yourself in a situation where you will naturally laugh and make that your normal to be silly goofy a bunch of times. If you can be silly with your partner, with your parents, with your siblings, with your friends, just from time to time, that does really help. And I've actually noticed that on the days that I have a good mood or I have more silliness in me, instead of waking up like serious and just like a little grumpy McGrumpster, the day usually is better. And the same thing for him, like when he's in a good mood and just not grumpy, doesn't have like that much in his mind that's stressing him, usually our day goes better because both of us just fuel that joy that we already have or that peace that we already have to begin with. The next one is gratitude shifts your perspective. So you can, first of all, I will say that, like, period. Gratitude really shifts your perspective. So try to be very grateful for everything. I'm not always the best at that. I used to have a little gratitude journal that I would write 3 things I'm grateful for every morning. Maybe I should start doing that again because sometimes I can notice that I'm not stopping and being grateful for what I'm receiving, either just from life in general or from, again, what my fiance is doing for me. I might not only take the time to be grateful for it, or I might be, but I'm not showing him that I am. And I think on the days that I am truly grateful, it goes a long way. And just know that you can be grateful for what you have and still want more, especially out of yourself, I would say. Because it feels a little weird to say you can be grateful but still like want more out of other people. I wouldn't say that, but you can be grateful for what you have accomplished, for example, but still want to grow more. Um, yeah, I don't know why I was saying hesitating here. That's pretty much it for that point. The next one, lesson number 10, your parents were just figuring it out too. So I don't know how old you are when you're listening to this, but the older I get, the more I realize that they were just trying to figure it out. When most of our parents had us, they were probably in their early 20s, and being 26, I'm like this. I kind of feel like a half adult. Like yeah, I'm an adult, but mom is adult pro, for example. But she wasn't always adult pro. She was already or still trying to figure it out when she was in her early 20s too. So you never really think of your parents as not having answers, but often we just don't know. We were just too young to realize it, but they were trying to figure it out, and they're trying to figure it out right now too in their stage of life. It's just a different thing that they're trying to figure out, but they might not have all the answers. Lesson 11, it's okay to say I don't know rather than lie. I don't like when I ask a question and somebody immediately comes up with an answer without actually knowing anything about it. So they just basically make up an answer. I would rather there's a moment of silence where people don't know, especially since I'm very curious. So usually I'm not asking questions because I'm trying to trick you into feeling like you don't know something. If I'm asking a question, it's because I actually usually like to get to deeper of whatever question was asked or was told to me before, especially if it's something science related or it could be like history related. I'm just very curious, so I will want to know more about it. And when you're telling me something, I'm not believing everything I hear, but I will at least believe that you have a reason to tell me that. Either you've studied it or you've been told that, but I will not necessarily just think that you just made that lie right now out of thin air. So it's annoying when people do that, especially if they do that all the time, of just lying for no reason whatsoever to have something to say rather than just saying, I don't know. It's okay to not know. Lesson 12: cleaning your space can help clear your mind. So make sure you have a clean space. I am getting better at this. I'm not the best at this, but make your bed, clean your surroundings, clean your room. You're not a pig, so don't live like one, basically. Again, now that I'm taking care of a house more than a room, I feel a lot more responsibility to make sure everything is clean. Not only if we have people over, but just in general. And it's a lot more because I'm cleaning for two, or I feel responsible for a space for two, and he is too, and my fiance is too. But it's not like when you're a teenager and you know exactly where everything goes, and that's fine, even if they're on the ground or whatever, because it's your room and your space. There's no more me anymore. It's our. So I have to be mindful of things as a couple, as a family, instead of just me. And I think that's a good thing. But even if you have your room or your space, what about your house in general? Even if you live with your parents, just be mindful of the whole space and try to leave things cleaner than how you got them, or at least as clean as how you got them, obviously, or how you found it. Lesson 13: it's important to learn to share. For example, sharing a space. I grew up with a brother, so I had to share a room only when we were very, very little. Not really. But we had to share a space, obviously. And some people share a room, or some people share like a bathroom or something like that. Growing up, we had a bathroom for everybody. My parents, or back in Mauritius, it wasn't common to just have like a master suite with your bathroom and everything. So we had a main bathroom upstairs that everybody would use, and then a bathroom downstairs that mostly guests would use. But we could use whatever. Like if there was somebody in the bathroom upstairs, we'd just go downstairs. But it was two bathrooms for the four of us, so we just learned to share. And I think it's very important. So now, if you're growing up as a single child, it's still important to learn to share one way or another. Because at one point you might get married and need to share that space, and it shouldn't feel like a burden to adapt to somebody else. Especially, I feel like it's harder when you get in a relationship because you were brought up very differently. So then, growing up with a sibling, it might have been the same rules in the house, but with a partner, it's completely different. So it would take a little bit longer to adapt, but it's very important to learn to share. Let's continue with lesson 14 out of 26, which is about compromise. So I believe that's from the book Never Split the Difference, but I learned that compromise is not a middle ground, really. So it's not about doing one thing that one person likes and the other thing that the other person likes. For example, if my partner wants to wear black shoes and I want him to wear brown shoes, I think that was what they were using in the book as an example. But basically, wearing one black shoe and one brown shoe is not gonna work. You can't go out like that. The same thing, I don't think they use that example, but if I want to eat at one restaurant, and my partner wants to eat at a different one, the best solution would not be to see where they are and to just choose something right in between them, and that's the restaurant that we go to. Because in both of those examples, and in many cases, trying to compromise like that doesn't really make any of us happy. Like, none of us are actually getting what we want. And I feel like a lot of times when people are compromising, none of them is actually happy. So I don't think I actually finished that book. I probably should, because I don't remember what the best thing to do would be. But so far, what I prefer doing is to let somebody do something that one time, and then you can have your option next time, ideally. So then, sure, we'll go eat at this restaurant this time, and next time we'll just go somewhere else. Instead of, again, trying to find something that doesn't really match either of your tastes. Sometimes it's the same for Netflix, for movies. So instead of somebody wanting to watch war movies and somebody wanting to watch romance, watching something in between sometimes doesn't make anybody happy because you both had a movie in mind. Whereas maybe you could watch one and the other one watch the other, or you could both watch one thing together and then next time you watch the other one, or however works best for you in your case. But basically, just kind of finding the exact middle ground out of it is not always the best in terms of compromise. Lesson 15, done is better than perfect a lot of the time. A lot of us, we call ourselves perfectionists, but we just want to refine the nitty gritty of everything. So just before submitting something, we keep messing with it basically, or we keep adding something, and we just say we're just crossing our T's and dotting our I's, or whatever the expression is. But most of the time we're just wasting time with like the 20% that doesn't matter as much as the 80% does. So for a lot of things, including this podcast, done is better than perfect. So right now I'm just trying to get episodes out there, and that doesn't mean that I'm just filming whatever. I'm still taking the time to think about it, to plan it, but I do know that it's not going to be as good as my 200th episode, but I'm not going to get there unless I do those reps. I put those reps in. So when you're starting something, especially, done is better than perfect. Or even if you're at school and you have 3 assignments to do, it might be done is better than perfect. Because if you try and perfect that one assignment, you might end up not finishing the 2 others and just get a 0 on that or something. So a lot of time, I'm not saying just submit something or just do a terrible job at everything, but I think you know what I mean when I say done is better than perfect. I think you will know exactly the times that you should have just completed something rather than spent a lot of time just trying to perfect it. Lesson 16 is not everything needs a response. Silence is pretty powerful too. That's also pretty self-explanatory. You don't always have to have a reaction, even if you feel a certain way, even if it invokes some feelings. I'm not the best for this. I do tend to react pretty quickly, but I'm learning to slowly not always react, not always have a response when somebody says something or does something, especially for just random people. It could be random people in person, random people on the internet. Especially on the internet, some people can be really mean. It can be pretty ruthless because it's just they're hiding behind their keyboards, I guess, or whatever the term is. But people are a lot more ruthless, I noticed, online rather than in person. They would say a lot worse things in comments than they would say to a person. So not everything needs a response. For example, if somebody's really mean to me, people aren't. I'm saying that people who are listening to me right now are people who love me, and I love them most of the time. Because it's like there's 4 people that listen to the podcast. But hey, if you don't know me personally and you're listening to this, I appreciate it a lot. Thank you very much for listening. But I haven't been getting like any of the nasty messages or anything like that. I'm just saying, if I do receive one of those, I might not even reply. I will reply to a lot of the comments. If somebody's being nice, I will reply to all those comments, because I do appreciate you taking the time out of your day to write something nice, or to just give your thoughts on, on the podcast or anything like that, or give a valid criticism. I'm just saying, if somebody is mean just for being mean, another lesson I guess that could come out of it is to know the difference between criticism and like feedback and constructive criticism and somebody just being mean. Because if it's constructive criticism, that's very important that you just don't just ignore it, but work on it and get better. Whereas if somebody's mean just to be mean, again, and have nothing of value to offer, then you can just ignore that. But we are maybe that will be in the controversial video, but we are a society that tends to be very, very sensitive, though. So anything that people say, it's perceived as hatred rather than criticism, which I don't personally love. And I'm saying that I'm very scared of criticism. Like it makes me a little ashamed sometimes, or like have chills, just like everybody else, because I think when I hear them that I'm doing a bad job, which is not always the case. But taking it, and I'm the kind of person who will be sensitive about the criticism. Let's just say my mom says something, or my boss says something, or my partner, or anybody. I know a lot of those will not be just mean things. It would be criticism that's constructive. So I might even react in the moment. Well, not with my boss, but if it's with my mom or my fiance, I might react in the moment, which I'm trying to work on and not just be reactive. But I have noticed that I do take it in consideration and I do work on it. So even if I've had a defensive reaction in that moment, I will work on not doing that or getting better at that. Again, I'm not perfect, and I'm just saying, even if you do tend to be defensive, that doesn't mean that you need to stick with whatever, like be stubborn about it. And in my case, I don't think I'm that stubborn, I will say. I don't know, I feel like people who are stubborn would say they're not, but I have tried thinking about it. I don't think I'm that stubborn, because I do get defensive for sure, and I'm very, very sensitive. So I will probably react in a way that might make you feel like I'm not going to change if I get those criticism. But then I think about it, and a couple of times or multiple times I have then changed that habit or that whatever it was. I can't even like think of one right now, or I probably don't want to just say it on air like that, but I went down a rabbit hole. I'm just saying that not everything, well, it was on not everything needs a response, but also I went on to give the difference, or another lesson, that constructive criticism versus just people being mean. Next, because I spent way too much time on that one, joy is found in the ordinary. So, nice cozy socks, or a good cup of tea, or I don't know, a nice meal you cooked, or you tried to bake something, or just some people like sunsets, or I love watching our dog Murphy just do whatever he does best, just being a little cutie patootie, whether he is sleeping or he just wants to play, like whatever he does. Sometimes I will just take a picture of him, and I know anybody who has dogs, that's how they are too. They're just out there being cute, and it just makes me so happy. So A teacher once told me, or not me, told us in class about this quote that goes, you can either go through life as if everything is a miracle, or some people go through life as if everything is a miracle, and others go through life as if nothing is a miracle. I butcher this quote so bad. I think it's you can either go through life as if everything is a miracle or as if nothing is a miracle. Was that Albert Einstein? I actually don't know. I think it might have been him. But whatever, it's from somebody. And my point is, I'm happy to say I go through life as if everything is a miracle. And I love that. Maybe you're listening to this and you're like, that's a terrible way of going through life. I don't think anything is a miracle and that works best for you. Great. I love seeing little joys in everything. I think that's wonderful. I don't think, well, I love big things and new beginnings and anything like that, but I love just a nice little moment and finding happiness in just the everyday little things. And I think that's awesome, honestly. Lesson 18. The way you speak to yourself becomes your reality. And along with this, you are your harshest critic. So I hesitated to put that on here because I feel like we get fed, and again, that will be in the other video, but we get fed this narrative of like, we're victims and oh, just self-love, make sure you talk to yourself very positively all the time. And I'm not saying to never look at yourself in the mirror and give yourself a hard truth. I'm just saying that if you have like some insecurities, and which all of us do have, you are probably going to tell yourself a lot more harsher things than anybody else would have told you. And it is important at the end of the day that you do actually have confidence, that you do like yourself. And it's important that you like yourself enough to be able to make changes. For example, for the past couple weeks, I've been eating a lot of junk food, haven't been eating great, and only this past week have I started to cook from scratch again, really, for most of the week. So now I'm still eating a little bit of ice cream and desserts and things like that, but we are getting along a better track. But I have gained a bunch of weight and I'm not happy about it, but I love myself and I want to. So instead of saying, oh, I love myself, so it's fine even if I keep on gaining weight, I think it's better and healthier to be like, I love myself, so I want to make sure I'm eating healthy again and get back on track and lose those pounds that I gained in excess that don't make me feel great in my clothes. So I very much love when my weight is more around like 130 pounds. So right now, if it's 145 pounds or 143 pounds, I don't like the way when I look in the mirror. I'm like, I don't feel super comfortable. And again, some people will just say, just learn to love yourself then. I think it's okay to want to go back to a smaller size because I was there. Well, I was actually fat for a while, for a good amount of time, and I've lost a lot of weight. But when I was almost 200 pounds, and if I keep eating, I will easily just keep climbing up and up and up because I know I could get there, have been there. But when I was almost 200 pounds, I didn't have the same confidence and the same really joy and positive attitude about myself that I do, or that I did when I was like 128 pounds. Not because, so it was weird because I was always very defensive about my weight and I kept thinking I was very positive and liked my body and loved my body. But the care that I took when I was a smaller weight shows that I had more love for myself. While I was saying that I love my body when I was overweight and obese even, I was showing it with my actions a lot more when I was again, 128, 130 pounds. So I'm not saying you have to be a specific amount, but again, for me personally, in this case, I've gained a bunch of weight in the last couple of weeks. So I will slowly be, now that our gym is put together in the basement, and I haven't been working out for a couple weeks since we came. Again, we moved. It's okay. It's been a big move, a big life change. But now that we're settled, we're already starting to work out in the mornings, eat healthier, and get back on track to show that, again, we're the person that, like, the relationship that I have with myself, that's very important to me. And I know I am my own best friend when I'm eating healthy, when I'm working out, when I'm at a smaller weight that I can just wear anything I want and just feel confident every day, basically, and not just on. There were no like good or bad body image days, more or less. Obviously, I still had moments or days where I felt bloated and things like this, and I had thoughts of, oh, okay, maybe I want to lose more weight, but most of the time it was a good body image day. Versus when I was really overweight and obese, most of the time it was a bad body image day. So, again, the way you speak to yourself does become your reality. I feel like I deviated a little bit from that, but just actually loving yourself doesn't have to be what people right now are feeding us, basically. I feel like they should have been in the controversial one, though. Lesson 19 is love is a verb instead of just a noun. So do make the choice. You do have to make the choice to love somebody every single day, to show, I feel like, that love. It's a little bit hard to describe this one, but I feel like I love my fiance more every day. I feel like that love just grows, but I think of the love as something I'm doing rather than just something I have for him. It's something I'm giving, or like I'm an action I'm doing is to love him. Lesson 20. Don't be a doormat, but at the same time, don't be a jerk. These are the only two options. So there's a quote that goes, if you want to stop being a doormat, get off the floor, or something like this. And I will say, I don't think I'm super confrontational. And some people might think that I seem like I am. Even people who know me, I don't know if they would think of me as confrontational. But I think there's a difference between wanting to get in conflicts. I would rather avoid conflicts if I can. But if it does happen, if I find myself in a situation where I feel like I'm being a doormat, I will try to get off the floor, basically. I will stand up for myself. Now, there's a couple different things here. One, don't be stupid. Let's just say I was alone and a bunch of guys were harassing me. I would not try to just be rude or stand up for myself too much. I would more likely just be quiet then, just because I know I'm in a very vulnerable situation and I don't want to get in a fight. I don't want them to attack me. I don't want to escalate the matter. I would like to just get home safely is the most important thing. I don't have to have the last word, basically. You don't have to have the last word. That should be a lesson on here. However, if you're in a situation where we're going to take that dangerous element out of it, let's just say you have a friend that's just talking loudly to you or something and is just making you feel, again, I would say that like a doormat, because that's the best way to describe it. You don't have to just be quiet in that moment. You can stand up for yourself. If somebody's being rude to you, you can stand up for yourself. And it's important to know that you don't have to stand up for everybody. You can stand up for people that you love, and that's a very noble thing to do. But don't be somebody that people just expect you to stand up for everybody because you don't owe them anything. It's better to make people learn to stand up for themselves rather than always being the hero and then them not being able to do it without you. Next one. Oh, actually, I'm not even done. But also, don't be a jerk about it. That was the other part of it. When I say stand up for yourself, when I say don't be a doormat, don't just get into conflicts or fights. Don't be stupid about it, like I say, and like I said, and get into dangerous situations. It's better to just return home safely, but also don't be a jerk. Don't be a bully. You can say things with kindness. You can stand up for yourself with kindness. Or, like we said earlier, you can just be silent and quiet, and often they're going to laugh at their own joke for a little bit and then get over it and then just move on and not bother you again. Next one, lesson 21. Be a lifelong learner and be excited to learn. So, whether that's at school or outside of school, be excited to learn that new skill, whether that's home economics, or you're learning to sew, to knit, to code, to cook, to bake, woodworking, fishing, whatever it is. Be excited to learn new things. You will never regret having new things that you know, new hobbies, new skills. You'll never think that you should have spent your time watching TV. It's better to just learn new skills, and either you have knowledge if it's something more like mental, gain knowledge, or if it's something more physical, you gain the physical skills. I gained a bunch of skills throughout the years because I have multiple hobbies, and I've never regretted any of them. They've each taught me very important lessons. And going along with that, lesson number 22, have a hobby or two. I have way too many hobbies, but again, each one has taught me at least one, but probably multiple lessons, multiple skills that I can just merge together, and it just makes me grow in so many different ways. So have hobbies. Lesson 23, you don't have to wait for January 1st or the first of the month or anything like that, or even Monday to start. If you've been eating poorly throughout the week and it's Thursday, you can start on a Friday, or you can start on a Thursday. Tomorrow is a new day. You can start right now if you want, but again, if you want to wait for tomorrow, or okay, fine, you want to wait for Monday, that's like the most you should do. If it's like Thursday, you're like, okay, let me just have a couple weeks, not a couple weeks, a couple days to just before I can do a reset, sure, but not more than that. Why would you have to wait for? I don't even know why people have to wait for Monday, but why do you have to wait for the first of the month or January 1st? Just do it now. Just do it tomorrow. Just start. Lesson 24, first impressions matter. They matter more than we think. So, yeah, don't neglect your physical appearance, and don't neglect how you talk or anything like that. Try not to, as I'm speaking, I'm actually getting more lessons that I could have added, but another lesson with that is you don't have to swear in every couple sentences. You don't have to swear at all. There was a point in my teenage life where I thought it was cool to swear and to be like vulgar in the way I'm speaking. And very quickly I learned that that's not how a lady is supposed to speak, and that's not how I want to be portrayed as. And often when somebody has an impression of you, it's harder to change that after. And I know people are like, doesn't matter what people think of you or anything like that, but it does. Like, why would you want your first impression to be bad if you had a certain level of control over this? At least try to appear pleasant and nice and proper instead of the opposite. Next one, lesson 25. You don't have to bear responsibility for everyone. It goes a little bit along what I said with you don't have to stand up for everybody all the time, but mostly everybody thinks now that they have to bear the weight of the world on their shoulders. You don't, okay? You have enough going on. Probably just focus on what's going on with you, with your family right now, instead of just everything. Everybody is just going on strikes and rallies and trying to stand up for everybody and trying to be offended for everybody. Again, that might be better in the next episode of controversial ones, but you don't have to be offended for everybody. Just if there are things in your life, in your small, like with your family, with your relationship that's already not perfect, maybe focus on that first before, getting offended for people in other countries and things like that. Or feeling like you're responsible for them. The last one, lesson 26, last but not least, and I go back to a lesson that I learned from my dad. Again, lesson number 1, like a river, everything starts small, and lesson 26, both lessons from my dad. This one is to learn for knowledge, not for exams. A lot of us are not lifelong learners, like I talked about before, and we go through life through the periods where we are put in a situation to learn. So in school, high school, university, or college, and we go through it like, oh, I don't want to study that, or it feels like such a burden. But when I was in university, my dad told me to learn and study and learn for knowledge rather than just for exams. So instead of just raising my hand and asking, is that going to be on the exam? Which I did sometimes. But who cares? Why does it matter that much? Like, it matters, yeah, a little bit, because it's still that part of your life and you want to do well in your exams, yeah. But it's not all that matters, I guess is what I mean. Because even if it's not on the exam, learn for knowledge. It's important. I remember a lot of facts and have a lot of knowledge from just things that I went through in high school, like just biology classes or accounting classes, a lot of things, whether or not I had studied them for exams as well. Maybe not, maybe they didn't show up on there, but it just gave me random knowledge or specialized knowledge. Just learn for knowledge and not for exams. And that's everything. That's 26 not controversial lessons that I learned in my 26 years of being on this wonderful earth. So I hope that wasn't too long. It was pretty long, but I hope you liked it. And that was a good episode, and it's already getting a little late, but next week we'll be talking about the 26 controversial lessons that I learned in 26 years. So I hope you're excited for that. Please give me a like, a share, a follow. All of those would mean the world to me. And why don't you tell me in the comments what is one lesson that you learned, or more, if you have more lessons, or some lessons that you learned, non-controversial ones maybe for this episode, that could benefit other people watching, especially younger people watching. Thank you very much, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.